My name is Joseph Ho, and I am the owner of BHOP Esports. We're a video game community center where people can come and just relax, play some video games with their friends, and hang out. So I think video games has always been my escape. When I was growing up, I was actually bullied because I was learning English. My parents were immigrants to the US, and I was made fun of just being who I am. So after coming back home with basically a backpack full of just helpless frustration of being me, hopping onto my computer at the time and going like 200 miles an hour down some Italian coastline in my favorite supercar on Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, that was my video game of choice, was a great escape. And so kind of drawing from my experiences back then and working with kids, I taught music for the past 10 years, gave violin and piano lessons, and that's how I kind of stayed up for this. And then going to college on a full scholarship, playing esports, I thought that everything kind of accumulated, or the trajectory was towards a physical space I wish I had growing up. Yeah, so right now, this is actually like the least amount of video games I've ever played in my life. Thinking that I'm in the space, doing like in the industry, but I'm playing like the least amount of games. But I do try and stay in touch with games like StarCraft, Hearthstone. I would play at like collegiate level and also professionally. I went to some major tournaments, and in StarCraft I was a grandmaster. But besides that, Counter-Strike I keep up to date because we have a Counter-Strike team. I want to just kind of keep up with the meta. So I think it's very much volatile. There is a very high turnover rate. So this is where it gets kind of like, wow, this is not as great as it seems. Because of the ebb and flow of the gaming industry, new games come out every single year, and all these games are owned by private companies. There's a high turnover rate in terms of esports careers. But let's say if you have a general skill set like first-person shooter, you can probably move from first-person shooter to first-person shooter in a way that won't, take away your skill or cut off your career short. So personally, for me, for Hearthstone, I played back in like 2016 to 2018 at the height of Hearthstone. And the entire ecosystem was amazing. They had community managers, people running tournaments, they had big sponsors and all these different other third-party tournament organizers that was willing to help host Hearthstone tournaments. But with the recent acquisition of Blizzard by Activision, they changed the entire structure of how Hearthstone worked, what its goals were with the game. So in terms of stability, it's very much in the hands of the game developers and the big companies, and we kind of have to just go with the ebb and flow, as opposed to traditional sports. No one's really paying royalty to the inventor of basketball or baseball. Everyone's kind of doing their thing, and there's more of kind of a stability in that. So yeah, I would say esports still in the beginning stages. So I think when we think of gamers, we think of like basement dwellers or kind of loners or things like that. But I think one of the things that the pandemic did was make almost everyone like a home dweller or a basement dweller. And a lot of new gamers came about because we didn't really have anything to do. And for the rest of us gamers, we're like, oh, this is what a quarantine feels like? Like this just feels like real life. So I think at a level of understanding, a lot of people kind of got like what gaming was all about. It's not just being by yourself. but there's all these different platforms that you can join and be a part of and be super social. And now with the end of the pandemic, we're all kind of like, hey, we have a lot more friends that are in video games, like online now, that we've made friends with or played with over the pandemic. So I think it's definitely changed. And one thing that I think, despite the fact that we were all in Discord, we were all like in in-game chats, what really lacked over the pandemic was the importance of like face-to-face interaction. And I think beyond just chatting over headphones or microphone, being able to sit next to someone and kind of high five them and fist bump them after a good play, that feeling is unmatched. I think having representation in all different aspects does good for any community. I think I remember growing up as an Asian American, I didn't really have like a figure that I kind of looked up to. The closest one maybe being the yellow Power Ranger, but there's no representation. And so with gaming, having a storefront in a mall, loud and proud in front of a food court, people are like, what the heck is that? Like, oh wait, you do this, on your own at home all the time, and now you have like this massive store with all these people in it interacting and playing games. Wow, that looks really fun. I think I want to try and see what that is and what that community is all about. So I think representation, just being in eyesight of other people, does help kind of bring gamers to the forefront of society. So one of the services that we offer is coaching, whether it's first-person shooter or RTS. We have people that have been in the field for their respective games and are professionals at it. Some are even college esports directors that take the time out of their days to help coach basically anyone that signs up. Ooh, that's I mean, it's cliche to say like, oh, it's everything to me, but I really do mean it that way. This has been a part of my life for the past 3 or 4 years now. It spent like 2 or 3 years in development and waiting out the pandemic and finding the right opening time. But now that we're here, this has become a very fundamental and core part of me that I care about with my whole heart. And every single person that comes in through the door, I try to get to know them and kind of hear their story. And we're trying to create kind of this web of all these beautiful stories that are gathering here together in one place. And you go up to anyone who are just playing video games, relaxing, and you're able to have all these amazing conversations in the most casual, non-judgmental, free way. And there is just so much beauty and love that's being shared in this space that I'm all for it. I'm all in on this. Yeah. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. Cricketers, again, representation. There's a lot of immigrants that come from a cricket background and would love to play here in the US, but there's not really a structure to do that. So what you guys are doing is amazing. I think I found a lot of success in being vulnerable. First, I'm very open to sharing like my experiences of being bullied growing up and dropping out of college and flunking out of class and things like that, and being able to be vulnerable first and have other people kind of like say, oh, it's it's a safe space. If he can share something like that, that's so personal, and so there's so much like emotion attached to that. They can maybe reciprocate one day. But in terms of the parallels of it, I think that a lot of gamers take to cricket pretty easily because every single game has a tutorial. Like every single new game that comes out, us gamers are kind of conditioned to learn new mechanics and new rules and how to bend the rules in our favor, or what to pay attention to or what not to pay attention to. That when cricket is explained to us, it makes more sense, I think, more so when it comes to gamers than for people who aren't used to kind of like the rules and kind of learning aspect of it. Thank you guys.